What attracted me to the role was the contrast between my professional practice as a commercial solicitor and the opportunity to operate at a very high level in the judiciary. I'd already sat as a recorder, so I had developed some judgecraft skills, some judicial experience, and this seemed an opportunity to stretch myself yet further. I think one may have acquired transferable skills in the course of professional practice as a solicitor. I found, for instance, although my practice area was real estate and finance, that the business of advising clients, of negotiating orally, of trying to reach solutions and make decisions quickly enabled me to make the transition to a judicial role. Also very helpful was sitting on professional conduct panels, which is even closer to the contentious environment you find in the High Court, with parties presenting the case or indeed defending it, and then having to make a decision based on the evidence and argument presented to you. So it's by no means essential to have prior judicial experience before applying for the role. There are transferable skills that you could have acquired in other ways. Sitting as a Deputy High Court judge in the Administrative Court, there isn't actually really a typical day, although there are typical types of day. There are hearing days, and even those fall into two types. One where you will get perhaps 8 or 10 different cases which require fairly rapid decisions made orally. And then longer cases when you're deciding a substantive judicial review where a hearing may go on for a day or even two, and normally you would expect to reserve judgment and write it up later. Then there are out-of-court days, and this was the bit with which I knew very little myself before I applied. There's considering paper applications, and that can be a stack of maybe 8, even 12 cases to be decided for permission on the papers in the course of a day. Then there's reading up for cases for hearing, and then there are days where you will be writing your judgment. So quite a varied work day, but they fall into those basic categories. My top tips for someone about to go through the process is to find out as much as you possibly can about the role. I, with hindsight, regret not having sat in court more than I did before I applied. It doesn't need to be a formal sitting in, of course, although there are certain work schemes and work shadowing schemes available. Just sitting in the public gallery and seeing how another Deputy High Court judge handles their workload would be enormously valuable. And I think the more you know about the job you're applying for, the better you can tailor your application. Another top tip when completing an application form is to be very specific in the examples you give of how you demonstrate the necessary skills. I often say that your example needs to begin with words to the effect of "there was a time when" or "there was a situation when," and give a very, very specific instance to demonstrate the competence that you are trying to describe. I would strongly encourage others like me, solicitors in particular, to apply to be a Deputy High Court judge because it's a very rewarding and stimulating role. Intellectually it's stretching, and I found learning new areas of law and having the opportunity to make decisions about it extremely satisfying personally.